All right, good evening, everybody. We'll call this Monday, July 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Lake Havasu City Parks and Recreation Advisory Board to order. And all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 3, the roll call.
Karen Cooper.
Here.
Kyler Cox.
Here.
Mercedes Kaiser. Here. Jason Mitchell is excused. Shannon Murray. Ashley Pasquale. Here. Alex Ross.
Here.
Philip Shannon is excused. And Allie Strader. And Councilmember David Lane.
Here.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Move on to item number 4, election of officers.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. It's that time of year again to select the chairman and vice chairman. This selection process is done in 2 separate motions, starting with the chair. The chair will ask for nominations. Once the nominations are complete, a motion will be made and a second is needed in order to vote for that individual. If a second is not provided, additional motion can be made, and this process will be the same process for the vice chair as well. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. All righty, would anybody like to make a motion for position of chairman of the board? And I'm open, guys, so don't think that I'm willing to give it up if somebody's interested. So it's totally up to you guys. I'm willing to keep doing it.
I'll make a motion. Kyler be chair.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any conversations, thoughts, questions? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I guess I'll abstain. All right, any opposed? All righty, we'll move on to vice chair. Any motions or comments or questions for the position of vice chair?
Am I able to motion for myself as vice chairperson?
Of course.
All right, Mercedes Kaiser, motion to vote for Mercedes Kaiser as vice chairperson of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final thoughts, questions, comments from the board? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. Do I?
That's okay, yeah. Any opposed? All righty, well, welcome. All right, should we move seats now? Or are you good where you're at? All right, well, congratulations, welcome. We appreciate your time on the board. And we're excited for the future as well. All right, anything else on the election of officers? We good to move on?
Yep.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item number 5, the call to the public. We'll now have an open call to the public for citizens wishing to address the board on issues within the jurisdiction of the board. Your comments must be limited to 3 minutes or less. If you wish to address an item already on today's agenda, you should wait until that item is announced for a public hearing. At the conclusion of the open call to the public, individual members of the board may respond to criticism made by those who address the board, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be placed on a future agenda. However, board members cannot discuss or take legal action on matters not already on the agenda for today. That being said, would anybody like to address the board at the call of the public? All right, seeing none, close the call of the public and move on to item number 6.1, approval of the June 24th, 2024 meeting minutes. Looking for a motion?
Make a motion that the minutes be approved for, what was the date? Pardon me, June 22nd, was it?
June 24th.
24th. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mercedes Kaiser, second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Move on to communications, announcements, and staff reports, 7.1.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. I will try to keep this brief. starting with recreation. Summer camp was a huge success that wrapped up not too long ago with a total of 355 participants in 2 locations. The after-school program will be kicking off on Thursday, August 1st at all 6 elementary schools. Moving on to our aquatics division. We have a number of free swims that are coming up. This is a great opportunity for local businesses to submit an application and provide an opportunity for our youth to attend open free swims on the weekends. The following that are coming up, the Havasu Community Health Foundation on July 27th, Aloe on August 3rd, Abundant Grace on August 11th, Elks on August 17th. And there's still a number of opportunities for businesses to take advantage of this opportunity for the community. The Community Center will be hosting some upcoming events. The Havasu Community Health Foundation Back to School Health Fairs on July 27th. Moving on to parks, the Weed Harvester is back in service due to some of the heat that we've been experiencing this summer. There's an abundance of weeds and grass in the channel and in the marina, and the Weed Harvester is out there trying to address some of those issues. We are installing a number of door locks at our restrooms throughout the park system in order to deal with vandalism, as well as some other issues that we're currently facing with some of those locations as well. Also, some other events I'd like to make note of. The Lake Havasu City Disc Golf Club, the Ladies League, will be hosting their monthly meetings at the Lighthouse Lounge from 5 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. And an upcoming event for the Havasu Disc Golf is the 2024 Arizona Championship, which is September 21st to the 22nd. With that, I'd also like to announce our new Parks and Recreation Director, Gabby Vera. For those of you who haven't seen the articles or the social media posts, Gabby Vera comes to us from Maricopa County, where she was a park superintendent. Prior to that, she holds a lot of experience in both the park side of things as well as the recreation as well from Miami-Dade County and the city of Phoenix. With that, Gabby, I'll turn it over to you for an introduction.
Hi, everyone. I'll keep it short and sweet. Thank you for that. Really excited to be here and be a part of this community and all the amazing things that I know that we're about to do. So just thank you for the warm welcome that I've had thus far.
Great. Thank you. And I can tell you, Ms. Vera, we're definitely excited to have you. I know I've looked and read a bunch of the articles and some things about you, and I definitely am excited to see your experience brought to Lake Havasu. I think you're going to be a huge asset. So thank you. Yes, sir.
Yep. Thank you. If I may, just a couple things that I wanted to add to that. One, welcome, Gabby. We're very happy to have you as part of our team here in the city. You bring a lot of experience and good things are happening. A couple of other events, and I only know because I belong to the club, but Kiwanis of Lake Havasu is continuing to sponsor free arts and crafts classes at the Aquatic Center. There's one on Wednesday from 4 to 5:30 and another one on Saturday of this week. This will be the last 2 events at the Aquatic Center hosted by Kiwanis, free to children of all ages to come and do arts and crafts. So, and the one on Saturday, I believe, is noon to 1:30. I think that's the correct time. So the information is at Parks and Rec.
It's on the website too.
Yeah, it's on the website. So
Great.
Thank you very much for that.
Any comments or questions? Go ahead.
I do have a question. More maybe to confirm, the automated door locks in the park restrooms, are those going to just follow along with the park hours?
Mr. Chairman, board member, that is the goal. We'll be working with our park staff to make sure that they're automated to meet those times that the park is open and available to the public, as well as closing. So there is no after hours issues that we're facing with the park restrooms.
And can they be unlocked from the inside if it's on an automated system?
I'm not sure I understand
Well, what
the
if
question.
someone's in there and it gets locked?
That's something that we'll make sure that won't be an issue with our system.
I see Mr. Rodriguez nodding his head on the camera, so I'm I'm sure that's an accurate statement.
That was it. Just comment. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Ready. I just have a couple things. I just want a couple of the programs that are going on, working with the Arizona Game and Fish on the boating safety program, the kayaking, the stand-up paddleboard. Again, we live on a city that's on the water, so great program. I'm definitely excited to see that partnership continue, and I appreciate your staff for doing that. Huge shout out again. I think it needs to be noted for the sponsoring of the free community swims, Havasu Community Health Foundation, Aloe, Abundance Grace, and the Elks. Again, a huge asset, especially when it's a little warm outside right now. So it's definitely nice to be able to have that opportunity for our citizens to go enjoy this, our beautiful aquatic center at no cost. The weed harvester, again, that's exciting to see that that's out there. A lot of people don't realize the positive that the city does by being out there actively utilizing that weed harvester. The weeds get out of control. They're just horrible, especially in the Bridgewater Channel, Thompson Bay Marina area. So the staff that's out there doing that, that's a huge, huge asset for boaters on a daily basis. Again, from somebody that's out there almost every day, I can tell you those staff members out there doing that makes a huge difference to our community. So definitely pass the word on to them that we appreciate it and appreciate them being out there. Tell them to try to stay cool. I don't know if they have to jump in the water to check the equipment every once in a while, but I would encourage it. It's a little warm. So, and then finally, the island football field improvements. I know that I've been speaking with the board, and the football program is actively starting, and they're definitely proud for all the things that have happened there. They are doing a little opening ceremony ribbon cutting for the first game, which is August 24th at 9:30. They're going to have some people down there. They're going to kind of do a ribbon cutting for the new I guess the reopening of the field is what they're trying to call it, with all the improvements that have been being done between the Chiefs football program and then the city as well. So a lot of great things. Lastly, I was in the Phoenix area for the last week and a half for the Little League state championship. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the Lake Havasu Little League minors, which was the 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, and then the Lake Havasu Little League majors. Both teams won their district championship, so they were actually the winning team for the surrounding area, which was awesome, representing Lake Havasu, and made it to state and did very, very well in state. The minors division actually placed third out of the entire state of Arizona, so they were actually out there representing Lake Havasu very well. They did great. As a parent, it was a long time up there. It was definitely a long week and a half, but it was awesome to see them representing Lake Havasu. And there's a lot of people that were surprised that Lake Havasu was representing as well as they were. So definitely a shout out to them. All right. Any final questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, sure. I think we can sneak this in under the staff report, but I was looking your way, and we have a new board member Karen Cooper. Would you like to introduce yourself? Welcome.
Sure. Hi, I'm Karen Cooper, and I'm glad to be here. It's very exciting, and I hope to get to know you all better.
Thank you. And thank you, Ashley. And I apologize. I missed last meeting, so I'm a little out of the loop on what the current events are. So again, welcome. We appreciate you, and thank you again. Any final questions, comments for the staff report? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7.2, the Pickleball Association donation.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. I'd like to introduce Ginger Sundin, who is the treasurer of the Pickleball Association. She has a donation that she would like to present to the board. This really shows a great partnership that has been continuing over the years with the Pickleball Association and the city. Just as you all know, recently we did receive some additional donations for some additional courts not so long ago from a donor, and this is another great opportunity for the association and the city to work together on a project to light some of those courts and make those courts available not only during the day but also at night, especially during the winter months, but hopefully during the summer as well before it gets too hot. But with that, I'll turn it over to Councilmember Lane if he'd like to say a few words.
I would. Thank you, Anthony, Mr. Chair. So I just wanted to say thank you to the Lake Havasu Pickleball Association. We've talked about this a few times at these board meetings about what a partnership really is and how different organizations will come to the city and say, we really need this or we really need that. and they do the fundraising and then come to us and bring us a check and then say, we need this. So it really goes to show that if you really want something, if you're willing to do the hard work and get out there and do some of the fundraising, it makes it much easier. And the city can then do their part to step up and help out as well. So we're very excited to have Ginger here tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely want to echo those sentiments for sure. The Pickleball Association has been an amazing partner with the city of Lake Havasu. Again, if you haven't made your way down to Dick Samp and seen the great things that they've done, I mean, definitely kudos to you guys and your program. So did we want to step in front?
It would be great.
Great. Thing is stout, huh?
Yeah, don't get your fingers
Alrighty. Again, huge thank you to the Pickleball Association. It's awesome to see partners like that in this beautiful city. That's what makes Lake Havasu great. So thank you. We don't need any action on this, correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll move on to our public hearings. Item 8.1, discussion of the Downtown Catalyst Project update.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. I have a brief update regarding the Downtown Catalyst Project. The movement of dirt from the city's team is completed. They did a fantastic job of moving almost 800 truckloads of dirt off of that site in preparation for the contractor to come in and start working on that location. The hope is for that location to be up and running, probably not for the fall and winter events that you normally see on that location, but hopefully soon after that is the goal, to have that location ready. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments?
I'm just curious, where are you from events? So what are you doing with the events that were normally there? What happened?
Thank you for the question. Those events will be, we're going to have to make some slight changes to some of the locations of those events. They'll be utilizing some of our other park locations, such as Rotary, London Bridge Beach, or potentially the bowl area in Rotary Park as well. But yeah, it's going to be a little inconvenience for some of our normal events that we've normally seen in years past at that location. But hopefully, once that location is completed, we'll have an even better event space for our promoters to utilize for years to come.
Great question. Yes, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I do. We had some discussions in the past about the naming of this park, and I don't know where we left that or how we're proceeding forward. Maybe this would be a time to maybe update or discuss further what that process might look like.
Sure. Thank you for the question. I wasn't privy to those conversations that occurred. I believe it was maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Okay. That's something we can discuss and bring back to the board if they'd like to take a look at what we could do to involve the public, the community, and come up with some ideas or a path forward with the help of Gabby and Sherry and taking a look at what we can do as far as some options.
Sure. Yeah, great question, because again, that was something that we did discuss. And I think from what I recall, again, don't quote me, but I think we did put it back on staff a little bit to just try to give us maybe some viable options that you guys thought were going to be the best routes. And then maybe with our insight, with the public's insight as well, kind of narrow it down. But do we want to maybe just put that on a future agenda item possibly?
And we, no, go ahead.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was the one that brought that up to you guys, just as an idea to you as a board, not to name the park, but to come up with some ideas of how to engage the public, and then so we could take that forward to the city council as to something that you guys might like to do, whether you want to do a contest or something that you guys might want to advise the council on how you would like to move forward on naming that park. Not for you guys to necessarily come up with a name, but to think of a process so that you're involved in that process. You've been involved in this project since the beginning. And so I kind of wanted you guys to also be involved in how we're going to go about naming it as well.
Sure. Great point. Thank you.
So, Chair, would that be a future discussion item we want to put on our agenda?
Yeah, I think it could be.
I would like to make that motion. Would this be appropriate time to do that?
Do that now, or do you want to wait till future?
I'm fine with doing it now, but what I would leave it open-ended, give staff the opportunity to have some time to have those conversations internally, and we'll make sure we bring it back at the appropriate time.
Okay, thank you. I support that. Thank you very much.
All right, any other questions, comments?
I have one more.
Go ahead, of course.
So, what you're really talking about is branding the park, and branding is part of go-to-market strategy. So, I might recommend that when we make that note to ourselves, to look at it more holistically of if we're going to involve the public and this is the process, what are we really looking at as far as rolling that out? Because even just the name of it, when I'm reading the newspaper, I'm like, what is the catalyst of this? What is, so how can we get people excited about it? Maybe bring that kind of broader conversation, not just the name, but the go-to-market.
Sure. Yeah, great point.
Mr. Chair, I completely agree with you, Member Cooper, and I think that's great. And I do recall that some of where our conversations got stalled when we initially were discussing this, thank you to Councilman for bringing it up, is that when we were discussing the process, the conversation kept going to people giving ideas for names. And so we kind of got stuck. And so I think it's a great discussion item to bring back, and thank you for your expertise that you'll be able to offer the rest of the board in that process. And then I also had another question. Is that okay? Okay. As part of what the city council approved, there were some extras, and they weren't called that, but they were extras, that add-ons.
Adults.
Yeah, there we go. Mm-hmm. And those were not approved, only the sort of base model, which is great and fantastic. And I wondered if this board could have a discussion about if we could recommend that the city take on some of those add-ons, not as they already decided not to, as what was proposed by the vendor. If that would be a good conversation for us to have, and even possibly prioritize if there's an opportunity to add on something like restrooms. Could we promote that from the board?
From the chairman, member, from staff standpoint, we're having those conversations internally based off of the direction from council. I don't believe that the board needs to take action on something like that. I believe staff is currently evaluating those adults and determining how we can move forward in future phases for that location, and what might make sense that we could potentially do internally to make those adults come to fruition in future phases. Hopefully that answers your question.
It answered my question, but I think your answer was no, that the board would not be discussing that.
And to that point, it's not no, because the hope is that the future project, the future funding, and future discussions with staff will lead to those coming to fruition. So I don't think there needs to be another conversation about should we do them. I think staff is having those conversations on what those future phases look like. So I think, yeah.
So it's not really a should, it's more of a how can we make it?
Correct.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chair. And I'll just kind of, if I may, a little bit of confusion because I had a couple people call me on this too going, I can't believe you're not going to do this. What we approved in the city council meeting is what we were going to pay the contractor to do, not necessarily what were the entire scope of the project. Because the restrooms, for example, for the cost of the restrooms through the contractor was so exorbitant, we knew that we could do that cheaper ourselves with some other local input. So will it have those amenities? Sure. Just like, Rotary Park, we've done, it wasn't all built in a day. Mm-hmm. This won't all be built in a day. The first part that we're doing is just what we said we would pay the contractor to do. And then city staff is working on what they can do and how they can prioritize and use the dollars that the city has provided for that project itself. So a lot of those things that you're talking about are in the process. They just weren't when they weren't approved at the city council meeting because we were only approving what we were paying the contractor to do, not necessarily what our city staff was going to do. And they're already working on those things.
Great input.
I have an additional comment.
Yes, sir.
As a stakeholder in the downtown area, these are all positive impacts to the community, but with impacts also become unintended consequences. And one of those would be the parking issues that we're going to be facing down there. I know that's not necessarily a Parks and Recreation, but it's a partnership in that all the other parks that we have in town have their own parking facilities, and it's nice that the city has that parking next door to the park. But I guess what I'm referring to mainly is the parking on Main Street, and there's a dialogue that's ongoing with the Main Street Association to address in a positive way the impact of the park and the parking in that area. Just wanted to keep our board informed that those conversations are taking place and that this forum should be open to anybody downtown that wants to come and express their concerns.
Great point. Definitely. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this is a public hearing. Would anybody like to address the board on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Final questions, comments before we move on? Okay. Move on to item 8.2, discussion, the trails update.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. I'd like to introduce Tim Rodriguez, our Parks Maintenance Field Supervisor, who will give you a brief update regarding this item. Thank you.
Welcome, Tim. Thanks for being on
Good evening.
Zoom.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you.
All right. I'm live in Prescott, Arizona, so thank you for allowing me to do this. So just to give you a little bit of history, in late 2021, I was asked to work with the fire department to come up with some signage for the Sarah Park Trails area to help assist the fire department in rescues and trying to cut down rescues if possible. And so in 2022, I worked with the fire department, BLM, and we ended up with a little bit of a group. And we came with our mission was to provide the public uniform, clearly marked trails for safe outdoor recreation and to assist EMS with locating lost, hurt, or distressed trail users. So far, we have about 60 signs. Our main focus of phase one has been all the most popular trails down the crack to the water, Lizard Peak, the Red Trail, from those parking lots to there. That seems to be where the most of the rescues were taking place. So we have about 60 signs on those trails. I'm not sure if Anthony has a slideshow to put up some of those pictures.
Steve, could you pull that up for me?
So we started from the parking lots out to just to warn users of the problems with the heat, just to let them know what they're getting into before they head out. And then we have on each trail, we have multiple signs that they're called confidence markers, like the one you see right here, that just allow the people to know that they're still on the same trail that they were trying to be on. There's a number associated with each of those signs and a QR code and the GPS coordinates. The number and the coordinates are if they suffer a heat illness or cannot make it out, that's some information they can give to the emergency services when they call in to looking for a rescue or looking for help. Now, each one of the signs also, you see a QR code, and that QR code was made by our internally, our IT department. And what it does is they developed an app that you can go download, and then it shows you exactly where you are on each trail. And then you can also follow yourself along that trail to see that you're getting to where you're trying to get to. If you scroll through some more of those slides, please. We also right now currently on the yellow trail, which is the trail down through the crack to the water. We have on your left there, we have some of these map signs. There's 5 of those, and those tell you where you are. They tell you how far it is to get to some important points like to the water, and then which direction back to the parking lot. And so we can help people get to where they're trying to go and see how far. It tells you how far it is to where you're trying to get to. So if you feel like you still have enough water to get there, or if you need to turn back. We have a couple signs there. The one on the right, that just as you're coming and going both directions, they help you get both to back to both parking lots at the trailheads there at Sarah Park, so that you can. Because a lot of people go to the wrong, they take the wrong trail getting back to the parking lots, and they end up getting lost that way too. Next slide, please. So that's there from Lizard Peak, and then that's just some of the stickers with the apps that we put on every one of those signs, so that we're really encouraging people to download that app, so then it helps them to not get lost. Next slide, please. And that's the part of our crew that went out there, and we had to work with the fire department on some of those to carry in a lot of equipment. We were able to concrete these signs in. BLM was a big help with us just getting this project move forward. And then the fire department, like I said, helped us to get some of these harder to reach areas to get these signs in. So that's been our focus, is those areas I just talked about. We're moving forward to have signs going more south along the mountain bike trails, and just trying to get more information out there, and more opportunities for people to, in case they do get hurt or injured, have to have where their location is to get that information to EMS. And that's my presentation.
Thank you. All right. Any questions or comments for Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for that update. I think this is a great resource, and well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a really great team that put this together.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. I'll just say again, thank you to you and your team. Again, you're a rock star, Tim, so we appreciate you. I know that was no easy feat, so it's definitely a huge asset. Unfortunately, sometimes people do need help out there. So to be able to have these things to help get them help quickly is a huge thing. We've all seen the dangers of hiking in the heat, and it's hard because we don't always know the lives that these will save. It's hard to track that portion of it, but I guarantee you it's definitely making a difference. So thank you to you and your staff for doing it, and keep up the hard work. We appreciate you.
Oh, thank you very much. I do have a great staff. That's how we are becoming successful.
All right. Any final questions, comments? Okay. This is a public hearing. Would anybody like to address the board on this item? Come on up. You just please state your name for the record.
I am Mary Van Roy, and I was here last month, and I'm asking again about the...
You can just pull your microphone up. Sorry about that. Make sure it's green.
It is green this
Perfect.
My name's Mary Van Roy, and I was here last month at the Call the Public to talk about equestrian staging area that we've been working on for about 20 years. And, the one thing I want to say to Tim those safety signs are extremely important. I think it's fantastic you got those up. And I was at an ASCOT meeting when they were discussing that, so I'm very happy you got it done. There is a state parks grant workshop tomorrow at 10. So anyone interested, it's open to the public, and they like to share information how to get grants. And the city has been really good about getting a lot of grants. And so when I was on the ASCOT board for my 2 terms, we talked about all these grants that you can get, and I'm totally impressed with getting them, and I think it's great. So that's why I know we can get a grant for our staging area if we want it, because we've talked about that too. And Sarah Park, they just got the patent 2 years ago that they finally got. They've been working on for 10 years. And I kind of have the original plan, but they said they're never going to do that original plan. And so I'm still hoping to do that. I walked it with Mike, the former parks director, and he thought it was even off of the area that you got the new patent for. But I think it is, because I went to BLM, and with Mike too, I had to say, well, that's state trust that's next to it. So the problem is, what I asked Mike is, can you tell me where state parks, where your grant ends, or not your grant, where your patent ends and where state trust begins? Because it's confusing. It's no way to know when you're out there. And that makes a big difference if that area I want for the staging area is actually in the area that we were looking for. And when I read that we have a new parks director, I got so excited. So that's why I came last month. And I'm hoping that maybe we can work together and walk it too. And I've walked it with Dub Campbell and other people, my friends who ride horses, and we are looking really forward to it. Did you have any questions?
So I actually watched the last meeting last month, so I got a little bit of info from what you brought to the board, but we can definitely have a chat and sit down and find some time for you to come and visit, and maybe when it cools down, we can walk it.
I don't want to go out there now. And that was the other thing. I mean, even Scottsdale and everywhere. And we used to do horse camping, and we used to go trail riding everywhere, every summer, for the whole summer. And it's seasonal. Like, we go to the mountains this time of year, and we stay here when it's winter. And it's really fantastic, Sarah Park trails. We work with BLM, doing, mapping for them for the trail. So this is like a 20-year project. And with Dub Campbell with the fairgrounds, and I know I talked to Dave a year ago, and he goes, well, staff says you can just do that at the rodeo grounds. I said, no, the gates are locked. I've been on that board for, with Dub for the 12 years that we worked on the rodeo grounds. And they have so many different events. It is so popular, but the same thing, they're dark this time of year. But every weekend and during the week, there's events. And some people are there for 4 or 5 days when they have bicycle events and that. So there's no way that you can just come and go with horse trailers. So I think there's very much a need for it, but it's not that important. If there's other things you have for that area, that's fantastic. I'd love to help with that too. With Mike and when Dub and I talk to him, we talk about ball fields and stuff, because it seems that somebody needs to walk out there and see what we're talking about. So if you would do that, it'd be great.
Thank you. Just hang tight after we're over, and I'll exchange my information.
Thank you, Ms. Van Roy. Appreciate you. Anybody else? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
And maybe just a nod, Ms. Van Roy, so you don't have to walk back up, but where are you, the location that you've been looking at is on the west side of the road on the way out to north. On the other side of the road. Mm-hmm.
We need you on the microphone because this is being.
I jumped the gun and closed it a little early. Sorry about that.
I just want to be clear that
everybody has to be on the microphone.
It's not an area that was included in the Sarah Park master plan.
Well, I have the plan that you guys submitted to BLM for those last 10 years, but they said they're never going to do, it was like a golf course. And this is stuff from so long ago. And they couldn't change it because then BLM would say, oh, now we have to start from beginning again. So they said, we're not touching it. So when it happened 2 years ago, it got in the paper. It says, oh, you got your patent. I thought, hallelujah, we can do it. But it doesn't mean it has to be an equestrian staging area. I just personally think, but talking about our horse trailers, we actually put that telephone pole 20 years ago or so at that little bitty parking area for our horse trailers so that horses could step over. We don't want to use cable. And cars park there. And then since then, you've put a big lot over there. But again, where cars park and you put a horse trailer, all of a sudden you can't get out of there. So then we did the little spot where those stone pillars are. That's good for like 2 horse trailers, but sure enough, somebody parks a car there and then you can't, I don't know why they think we can get in and out so easily. And then we used that big area across from the dog park for 4 or 5 or 6 trailers. That worked. But again, people park their cars there. We're so close to the road. If a horse gets loose, we prefer to be out of sight. And there's a beautiful flat area, and you can put a little culvert in because there's one little spot that's a low area for a trailer. Anyway, it's definitely worth looking at. And then as far as your park downtown, you really need to put a culvert and a walkway to that big parking lot there and the bathrooms. Because I know that's a priority for me, that you'd have restrooms there. Or outhouses or something.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm that you're not looking at part of the park, existing park area.
Well, it's across the dog.
Right.
People,
No, I understand.
yeah,
No,
and
you
people, when
answered.
the dog park's being cleaned up, then they park there too. So that's what's happened to us too. We get our horse trailers there, and all of a sudden there's all these cars there, but couldn't figure it out. But that's because I think it's Thursday morning, they clean the dog park, and so people bring their dog. I mean, we can share with everybody. But horse trailers, you'll find out in most communities, Prescott, Wickenburg, they all have an area for horse trailers because of the size. And the horses, you don't want people coming up and petting them if they don't know what they're doing. And people love horses. And I think I mentioned at that last call to the public that equine therapy, that's huge. If we could ever do that for veterans, for kids, for handicapped people, whether you could haul in a couple horses for 4 hours or something like that. There's professional people that are licensed and qualified to do that. So if that was something that they could offer there, if it's a site that's, specifically for horses, and it can be shared by everybody else for other things too. But it's just nice to have our own spot. Sarah Park's got the ball fields, the racetrack, the airplane thing. They've got so many the disc golf, so many great things that you don't have the equestrian staging area yet. So that's why I'd like to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Great, thank you. Anything else? All right, we'll close it again and bring it back to the board. Final questions, comments, trail update? Okay. All right, anything else, Mr. Rodriguez?
Just last thing, I failed to mention, so the part of our group, just to make sure everyone gets noticed, we work with BLM, the Lake Havasu City Fire Department, CRADA, which is the Colorado River Trails Alliance, IMBA, International Mountain Bike Association, and the Mojave County Search and Rescue are all part of our group that's putting this together.
Great. And we appreciate the partnership. All right. There's nothing else? All righty. We'll move on to, thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. We appreciate you. Move on to item number 9, future discussion items. Anybody like to add an item to a future agenda? I think we probably already handled the one Mr. Ross mentioned, so that's already noted. Anything else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 10, our future meetings.
Future meeting dates, August 26th will be canceled. Staff will be out of town at a APRA conference. And then September 23rd will be our next meeting.
All right, so next meeting, September 23rd. Okay, anything else from the board? All right, seeing none, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.